morning, all! The Jocelyn Gray Avatar is back again with your Sunday morning announcements. If you're with us on Facebook or YouTube, please subscribe to get notifications when we have new videos. If you're with us on Zoom, drop us a hi in the chat. We'd love to say hello back. If you're with us in person, hello everybody here! And if this is your first visit, please sign the guest book either in the lobby or online at oakcliffuu.org/guest. Sarah Ricke returns to the pulpit today with To Worship in Darkness, Observing the Season of Samhain. We hope you can stick around after the service for Talkback, where we gather in a circle and discuss the sermon and related topics. Please note that Adult Religious Exploration with Sarah returns next Sunday, November 5th. And today's the day! Our Haunted Forest fundraiser starts at 7 p.m. Ooh. Anyone who volunteered to help with setup, gather in the Hope Kitchen. Sarah is bringing soup. But wait, our psychics predict that the trails will be terribly muddy, and advise us to move the ghosts and ghouls inside. So look forward to a scary sanctuary. Ooh. Coming up this week, our Widening the Circle of Concern work group continues to meet on Monday at 7 p.m. Last week, the WCOC team had a lively discussion about the next actions to take in seeking congregational approval on the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion workshop. We were 2 members short of quorum at the fall parish meeting last Sunday, so we were unable to complete the vote. Watch for more news soon. Want to join the team or have questions or concerns? Email wcoc@oakcliffuu.org. Since Tuesday is Halloween, there's no Teamwork Tuesday that day. And keep your black cats safe. The Social Justice Ministry Reading Group continues discussing Standing, One Man's Odyssey Through the Turbulent 60s by Ernest Macmillan. The next meeting is Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. Questions? Contact Mavis at sjm@oakcliffuu.org. Next Sunday, we'll have a special guest in the pulpit speaking on environmental justice. Ian Zabarty, a longtime leader of the Western Band of the Shoshone Nation. Also next Sunday, the memorial service for longtime UUCOC member Susan Ammons is scheduled for 2 p.m. in the Faith Sanctuary. Susan was an integral part of the life of the church, from serving as board president more than once and managing the endowment fund, to teaching youth religious education and singing in the choir. We miss her terribly. Details on all of this and more can be found on the back of your order of service and in the weekly e-blast. Not receiving the e-blast? Just sign up at oakcliffuu.org/e-news. It's that easy. That's it for now. Hope to see you all tonight at the Haunted Forest fundraiser. Ooh.
Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff. Let us begin our sacred work. Sarah?
If you would rise, please, and join me as we call the quarters before we light the chalice. Spirit of the East, heralds of wisdom, the element of air, join us and be welcome. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Spirits of the South, heralds of will and passion, element of fire, join us and be welcome. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Spirits of the West, heralds of empathy, element of water, join us and be welcome. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome.
Spirits of the North, heralds of stability and generosity, element of earth, join us and be welcome. Hail and welcome.
Hail and welcome. Embrace the Night by Jennifer Grayson. Universal mystery, guide us away from the desire to shine light in all the corners. Teach us to embrace the night, for without the darkness, we never see the stars.
Last time, y'all. Gathered here in the mystery of the hour, gathered here in one strong body, gathered here in the struggle and the power. Spirit, draw near.
United by Story and Bound by Love by Andrea Hawkins Camper. Gather we now into this space, this time when the wheel turns and the veil shatters. Gather we now to remember, to grieve, to prophesy, to complete our harvests before the long dark comes. Gather we now to tell the old stories and sing the old songs, to be, as we have always been, the voice of our people eternal. Gather we now to celebrate that which was, that which is, and that which will be. Gather we now, as we have always done, united by story and bound by love.
In our community, we make time each week to share pieces of our lives with each other, our joys and sorrows. We do this because each person in this community has value. Each person's experience matters. We share our sorrow with one another today, knowing that sorrow comes into each person's life, knowing that together we offer comfort. Please share your sorrows publicly by posting them in the Zoom chat, or send them to our Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud. We also share our joys with one another, knowing that joy comes into all our lives, knowing that joy calls unto joy, knowing that together our voices can rise in a chorus of celebration. Please share your joys publicly by posting them to the Zoom chat, or send them to the Facebook Messenger, or speak them aloud. Welcome to the UU Church of Oak Cliff. Here we gather in sanctuary, where we're free to pursue our own unique and individual spiritual journeys in an atmosphere of acceptance, compassion, and celebration. We seek to build a community where what you believe is less important than how your beliefs guide and inform your participation in the world. Ours is a community that values the inherent worth and dignity of every human being. To our returning visitors, we are so happy you've joined us again. We know your time is precious, and we're honored to have you here today. And we'd like to extend a warm welcome to those who are joining us for the first time. We recognize the bravery it took to come into a new place, and we're glad you're here. Ours is a covenantal church. Latin for come together. Covenant means a solemn agreement or promise from the heart regarding a course of action between parties. The practice of promising to walk together is the core of our faith. Simply put, it's the guide for the behavior we expect from ourselves and each other. We're bound together by the promises we make to one another, and we recite our covenant during every worship service. If you're stand in body or spirit, while we recite our covenant in English and Spanish. Because we love one another, we honor each individual's spiritual journey. We celebrate life's abundance and service to each other, our community, and the world. We connect with each other in love, respect, and acceptance. Thus do we covenant together.
Porque nos amamos una al otro, honoramos el viaje espiritual de cada individuo. Celebramos la abundancia de la vida en el servicio a entre sí, nuestra comunidad y el mundo. Ponemos en contacto a unos con otros en el amor, respeto y acepción. Así que hacemos pacto.
Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna. 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 Isis, Astarte, Diana, Hecate, Demeter, Kali, Inanna.
Good morning. Good morning and welcome again to this beautiful church on this beautifully cold and rainy morning. It's perfect for Samhain, which, if you didn't know, is in just a few days. And as I said in the joys, I'm particularly happy about this weather. Not only do we need the rain desperately, but it's rare for Samhain to actually feel like Samhain here in Texas. Usually it's far too warm and far too bright, kind of like these lights in my eyes. but far too warm and far too bright usually here in Texas for a holiday that celebrates the onset of winter and the rising darkness. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Samhain, it is a holiday that is the predecessor for our beloved Halloween, coming up on Tuesday. It was taken from pagan roots and taken back again by modern pagans like myself, who celebrate the traditional holiday as part of what we like to call the Wheel of the Year. And the Wheel of the Year is a celebration of 8 holidays that each celebrate the turn of the seasons. For we see time as cyclical rather than linear. Or perhaps it would be better said that we see time as cyclical in addition to linear. And we honor the way that the earth flows from winter to spring, to summer to fall, and then to winter again. It's a circle, this cycle, and in this cycle, heathens, pagans, Wiccans, however we choose to identify ourselves, seek to find balance in the natural world. Balance between the seasons, balance between the elements, between life and death, light and darkness. So the title of this sermon is To Worship in Darkness, but only because to worship the darkness is a little bit out of the comfort zone of most modern Americans. Our culture, if you've been paying attention to our services this year here at the UUCOC, you've probably heard it mentioned a few times, but our culture is very unfairly biased against anything even remotely related to darkness. The actual darkness, the color black, people of color. We have associated darkness for so long with so many negative things, like evil or corruption, that we have gone off what darkness really is and tried to give it things that really have nothing to do with it, and in the process, hurt so many things and so many people in this world. There's nothing negative about darkness, but everything associated with Samhain is wrapped up in this horrible fright fest. The darkness, winter, the night, spirits, and death. And the last two, spirits and death, are especially heinous in our modern culture for some strange reason. And they are, to no one's surprise, the 2 biggest reasons that we celebrate Samhain. Samhain is more than just a harvest festival. It's more than just a seasonal holiday. It is a celebration of the spirits, of the spirit world, and particularly of the spirits of the dead. Samhain is a veneration. It is a worship. We worship the spirits, we worship the dead, and we worship the darkness. Now, if there's anyone out there clutching their pearls, metaphorically or otherwise, I will tell you again very plainly that pagans or witches like myself, we don't consider any of those things to be evil. They're not evil or negative or harmful, really, in any way, as long as you are properly mindful of the way that you worship, just as with all things. As someone who has spent years meticulously researching various religions, mythologies, and spiritual practices, I am very mindful of my worship. Many of you here today have come to this church, to Unitarian Universalism, with a very similar outlook on spirituality. So I'm hoping that you appreciate this, that you will appreciate the darkness as I do. So Samhain is one of the 8 major solar holidays in the wheel of the year, and it is very firmly in what we like to call the dark half of the year. The night has been gaining strength since the summer solstice. It finally overtook daylight hours at the autumnal equinox. And now, with Samhain only days away, the nights are growing longer, the shadows stronger. And that will continue until the end of December with the winter solstice. The life of spring and summer is over. The harvest is winding down. Winter is coming, and with it, darkness. So darkness is not, as certain monotheistic religions that worship the light would have you believe, some infernal wellspring of evil and malice. This is a misinformed notion taken from a rather binary concept. If something is not this, then it must be that. If it's not good, then it must be evil. And so many people have made the mistake of thinking that light is always good. And that's just not true. So light can be good. Fire can be good, water can be good, the earth can be good. Light can be good. We certainly need it to survive. Our eyes have evolved to see properly in the daylight. We need light from the sun to produce vitamin D and to stay happy and healthy. Plants need light to grow, making it essential for the vast majority of the food chain here on Earth. Light can also be lethal. The summer sun in a desert will absolutely kill you faster than anything else out there. The unrelenting heat of summer will murder your plants faster than you can try to save them. It might be nice and rainy now, but it's far too late for my garden. As you know, it didn't rain for pretty much 2.5 months this summer, and I had to abandon my garden in June. Because as bright and sunny and warm as it was outside, it was killing everything. Not even my squash and beans survived. And if you've ever gardened, you know how hard those are to kill. But nothing for 2.5 months, nothing but summer and sunshine and heat and light. And it turned my whole garden, my whole yard, into a cracked, dry dust bowl. No shady storm clouds to temper the sun. No cool rain coming in from shadows up above. Just nothing but light. Another thing is that light, in addition to drying you up to a withered stalk, will also blind you if that's all you've got. We see contrasting light with shadows, not just with light alone. Try driving at night, then, when the oncoming traffic is all using those super bright LEDs. Or worse, they have their high beams on. The light blinds you, and all you can see is spots, and then nobody's safe. The torture technique of sleep deprivation also employs high light environments. They keep it so bright that the victims can't possibly rest, and the mind goes crazy from the constant sensory input. If you ever consider paying a visit to the Arctic Circle in summer, you should keep in mind that the Alaska government regularly issues public service announcements about the perils of the summer's unending light. The 24-hour sun cycle messes with the human body and mind. There's warnings about sunscreen and water to prevent overexposure. They stress the need for blackout curtains so that people can sleep. And there's dangers of developing anxiety as the constant light compels the human brain to move to action, to constant focus, rather than relaxation that is so necessary for our health. So the author Patricia McKillop once wrote that night is not something to endure until dawn. It is an element like wind or fire. Darkness is its own kingdom. It moves to its own laws, and many living things dwell within it. Just like light, darkness can be either beneficial or detrimental, depending on its intensity and how it's used. Darkness calls us to rest at the end of the day, or during the day. I like to call this kind of weather nap weather, because inevitably when the storm clouds roll in and the rain comes down, I don't want to do anything. I want to sleep. Darkness calls us to sleep at the end of the day. It calls the earth to sleep during the winter, a time to rejuvenate, for leaves to break down and compost, renewing the soil, for water to build up as rain or snow or ice, without the sun evaporating it away from the surface before it can do any good. Darkness is necessary for human health and sanity, just like the light is. The human race has evolved to work with the cycles of day and night. Most of us need those 12-hour cycles in order to maintain healthy sleep patterns. Aside from the general grumpiness from the fatigue, a lack of sleep can cause some truly vicious side effects, from heart disease to diabetes to depression. It lowers your cognitive abilities and your reaction times. And the lack of sleep is a recorded cause for any number of lethal accidents, from car crashes to the nuclear meltdown in Chernobyl. Darkness might exist as an opposite of light, but that opposition is one of balance rather than animosity. Darkness balances light, just as fire balances water and air balances earth. They're not enemies, just elements of contrasting nature. And of all of the elements, darkness is the oldest. Before the multitude of stars and galaxies that glimmer in the night like jewels, before the light of the Big Bang that threw all of the other elements and the stars and the planets into existence, the universe was small and still and dark. Darkness is the first element, nebulous and hard to define as it is. It's the dark of night, the depths of the ocean, the crushing gravity of a black hole, the cold stillness of the grave, and the warm cradle of the womb, all in darkness. Light might traditionally be associated with life, but it is from the darkness that we are born, and it is to the darkness that we return upon our deaths. And anyone who discounts the sacraments of the darkness ignores the sacredness of these universal experiences of human existence, that we were all born and we will all die, and that we are all, for these reasons alone, beholden to the night. And it is this association with death, especially, that makes Samhain such a powerful holiday. So Samhain heralds what we in neo-paganism like to call the thinning of the veil. You heard it a little bit in the opening words this morning. But the thinning of the veil is the idea that there is a slight separation between the physical world and the world of the spirits. It's all still right here on earth, but it's the unseen, the just out of sight, the just beyond our physical reach. And you can call what's out there angels, you can call them fairy folk, you can call them the good neighbors. But there are entities or energies that are beyond the reach of most humans most of the time. But during this time of the year, that barrier, that veil, is stretched thin. And some of the things can pass through. And some of those things include the spirits of the dead. Samhain is a holiday of death. It is the season of the afterlife. And this is another reason that darkness is so important for this holiday. So Samhain might be better known now as Halloween, but the spirit of this holiday is much closer to another that we also know, and that's Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. So it is a time of death in so many aspects. So it's the harvest, the fields are dying, the animals that won't survive winter are being butchered. It's an acknowledgement of death for the earth, for us, that we will die, just as everything else on this world will die. But more importantly, Samhain is a time to honor those who have already died. It is a time to honor your dead, your ancestors. So Samhain, with darkness and death,
is a time for ancestor worship. It's when you build an altar, if you don't already have one, with pictures of loved ones who have passed on, to light candles because the veil is thin and the spirits of the departed can pass through, and we want them to have a clear path home to us. It's a time of sacrifice, to leave offerings out for those spirits. Your great-grandma's favorite hard candy that she always kept in her pockets. Your grandpa's favorite beer. Your great-uncle's cigars. A bottle of wine for your mom. All the little things that your loved ones loved in life, left in offering. Ready for them to visit just like you would have done if they were still alive. Because they're coming to visit you. Or you could go visit them if you're able. So in the past, it was common for people to live in one place for centuries, and graveyards would be the final resting place to generations of the same families. So if you have family nearby, consider visiting them. Go to their graves, clean them up, take a picnic and enjoy a meal with them, and light your candles and leave your offerings there as well as in your home. Cleaning up graves is not a unique aspect of this holiday. They do it in Dia de los Muertos. They do it in Korea for Chuseok, which is also an autumn festival. All over the world, ancestor veneration includes these altars, includes visiting graves, includes taking care of the resting places of our loved ones. And Samhain is the time for that. Samhain is also a time for storytelling, for scooping up your sons and daughters, nieces and nephews, grandchildren and baby cousins, plopping them down in your lap with a cup of cocoa and pulling out the old family albums or scrolling through Facebook photos and reliving the memories of those who have passed on. Maybe the kids will remember them, if not the names or the specific tales, then at least the closeness of family and the love that is shared among them. And that is never the wrong way to worship. Because it is worship, make no mistake. Ancestor worship, the belief, the knowledge that those who came before us are still here, is as old as time. And it's one of the most common religious practices around the world. So as I said before, we are born from the darkness and we return to it on our deaths. But Samhain is the time when the darkness rises to become its most powerful, the veil between the worlds the thinnest, and the barriers between the physical and spiritual planes means that those who have gone on now have the chance to reach back. In our stories, in our dreams, if you are willing to welcome the dead, if you are willing to reach out into the darkness and to let it reach out back into you. If you would join me, please, for just a brief meditation now at the end. Put your feet flat on the floor. Feel the cool tiles beneath you, earth solid and strong. Close your eyes, dip your head down, and allow the colors to fade, the light to dim. See yourself outside. It's night. The sky above is indigo black, swimming with charcoal clouds. Stars glitter in the distance, in and out, as the winds blow the clouds across the sky. A crescent moon, barely visible. Its light self-contained, never daring to pierce the shadows all around you, only offering more. You are standing in a field fresh from the harvest. The dry stems of cut corn crunch beneath your feet. Trees surround the edge of the field, obsidian sentinels between you and the rest of the world, towering, protective, nurturing. Dark mist rolls in from nothing and nowhere, swirling around you, a curl through your hair, a brush upon your cheek. The field is swallowed by the haze. The trees shimmer in and out of sight. The wind rises and the fog swirls higher, obscuring the last of your vision. But in the trembling leaves and whistles caught on corn stumps, there's laughter. It's deep and familiar. It's high and teasing. You know those chuckles. You know that voice. You know those whispers coming to you in the dark of night. You know that laughter rising through the mist. Feel the love of those who have gone before you, wrapping around you with the fog in an ethereal embrace. Who is out there calling to you? Taste the tears that run down your cheeks as exultation bubbles from your own smile. You're not alone. You never have been. And you never will be. The darkness waits for all of us. For those we love, wait in the darkness for us. And they've never stopped loving us. And they've never left us. The darkness can show us what we cannot see with our eyes, but what we will always know in our hearts. And it will never leave us. Take a deep breath and one last look at the loved ones who have come to you. And when you are ready, open your eyes. And do not despair in your departure. For Samhain is not yet here. The veil is still thinning. The darkness is still rising. And you still have time to sit with all that she brings you. Blessed be.
Stillness reigns, the winds are sleeping, all the world is bent on keeping tryst with night, whose winds are sweeping from the west, each ray of light. Dusk a soft and silken cover over all the scene, to hover in its readiness to cover all the drowsy world. Good night. Those who labored long and tiring, their new time of rest desiring, strength renewed through sleep retiring, welcome thoughts of peaceful night. And through spaces real or seeming, find the Eden of their dreaming, soar to starry ways, redeeming hours of toil and pain. Good night. Thank you for singing on that one.
Good morning, all. So, 2 or 3 years ago, when this church started really diving into the work that we need to do to become an anti-racist congregation, one of the things that we did was create this covenant, the Widening the Circle of Concern covenant. It is printed in your order of service. It will appear on the screen, and you're invited to rise in body or spirit as you're able and willing and recite this with me. We, the Unitarian Universalist Church of Oak Cliff, commit ourselves to the study and dismantling of racism and oppression within our congregation. We commit our congregation and ourselves to the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. We commit ourselves to listening, to learning, and to action. When we fail, we commit ourselves to trying again and again. We covenant to begin this work and to continue until all of us can truly say that we are a beloved community of justice, equity, and compassion. Our reading this morning is from Dr. Glenn Thomas Rideout, artist, minister, teacher, lover, writer, gardener, and friend, born in Baltimore to a big, beautiful black family. He is director of worship arts ministries for the people of First Universalist Church of Minneapolis and teaches worship and liturgical design at Meadville Lombard Theological School. And I selected this reading because, yes, as was brought up in the service, this is a time when several cultures look to and think about and appreciate their ancestors. So this is a piece that Dr. Ricke wrote last year. Retracing my steps. It opens with this quote from Beyoncé, Giselle Knowles-Carter. If you don't seek it, you won't see it. I'm going to build my own foundation. You won't break my soul. Dr. Rideout continues, when it was his turn to present his history project to our 7th grade class, he began with delight, flashing a large poster board and permanent marker family tree. He'd been able to trace his ancestors back to the 1500s. I wondered how he managed to discover so much and so many. I'd tried something like that a year before. I asked every adult in my family. Stayed in the local library for so long, they gave me a job at the desk. I combed the internet looking for something of my deeper heritage so that I could imagine myself. He was talking about his German ancestors. I remember feeling confusion. I had no idea where he was getting this information about his great-great-great-grandparents. I looked around me, and none of the other black kids in the classroom seemed to have a clue either. We don't have those stories. Ultimately, I realized that my white classmate had access to time that I didn't have, access to stories and connections that I could never have. Dr. Rideout continues, like most black people, I rise on the shoulders of ancestors whose names I cannot know. Our ability to move through our own past is encumbered, cut off at the point where we as human beings are sold like cargo, the point of erasure. In order to shackle people to ships, you have to untether them from their life stories and their heritage, their bloodlines and their land and their homes. You do all of this untethering, and for the rest of the generations of that person, for the rest of the time, there will be no knowing of their stories. If, from the beginning of racism and this human trafficking, the point was to build a country with people imprisoned and kept in their economic states, then the only way for America, for all of her people, to get any sort of free together is to act as if these stolen stories truly exist, to replace habits that encumber the movement and liberation of our kindred, to remember even the lives for which we know no name. We show our children now the truths of yesterday and the possibility of tomorrow. It's this deeper connection with the greater living story that brings a chance of wellness and repair for all life. God, continue to fashion my people in our ancestors' image so that we may glimpse their stories in each other's eyes and trace over the marks of erasure in bold, provocative joy. Thank you.
Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place that's so sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Members, if you're contributing cash toward your pledge, please use the envelope provided and write your name on it. To text your donation, see the number on the back of your order of service. And for more options, see oakcliffuu.org/donate.
ti te doi, así compartimos y vivimos hoy.
To Night, from the Hymns of Orpheus. Night, parent goddess, source of sweet repose, from whom at first both gods and men arose. Here, blessed Venus, decked with starry light, in sleep's deep silence dwelling, ebon night. Dreams in soft case attend thy dusty train, pleased with the lengthened gloom and fearful strain, dissolving anxious care, the friend of mirth, with darkling coursers riding round the earth. Goddess of phantoms and of shadowy play, whose drowsy power divides the natural day, by fate's decree you constant send the light to deepest hell, remote from mortal sight. For dire necessity, which notwithstands, invests the world with adamantine bands. Be present, goddess, to thy supplicant's prayer, desired by all whom all alike revere. Blessed, benevolent, with friendly aid, dispel the fears of twilight's dreadful shade.
A Blessing of Darkness and Light by Amy Morgenstern. Blessed is the dark in which our dreams stir and are revealed. Blessed is the dark of earth where seeds come to life. Blessed are the depths of the ocean where no light shimmers, the womb of all earthly life. Blessed is the light into which we awake, the light that sparkles on the waters, that calls the tree forth from the seed and calls the shadow forth from the tree. Blessed are we who move through darkness and through life.
May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. May the circle be open but unbroken. May the love of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. We will dismiss the quarters, please. Opposite of the way they came in. To the north, element of earth, we thank you for your presence here with us today. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
To the west, element of water, we thank you for your presence here today. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
To the south, element of fire, we thank you for your presence here today. Hail and farewell.
Hail and farewell.
And to the east, element of air, we thank you for your presence here today. Hail and farewell. Hail and farewell. Thank you all for joining us today.